right now, and I thought it would be better to show you around when it's kind of empty and not got so many people around. So I'm going to go ahead and show you around.
Malmesbury is a small town in Wiltshire with a population of 5,380 people. Malmesbury is actually the oldest borough in England, but before we get into the history, I thought I'd show you where you can get a good pint. First up is the Rosen Crown. It has a great beer garden and is definitely at the top of my list for a pint in Malmesbury. Then we've got the Smoking Dog, which has a cosy fire and does a very good fish and chips. The King's Arms is also recently refurbished and has a beer garden with a nice view over the countryside. The Whole Hog does great food, and when the football is on, they unscrew the chandelier so that you can get a good view of the TV. The Three Cups is probably alright, but I've only been in there once and I didn't like it much. No offence, Three Cups. Now on to food. Delicious fish and chips is good if you want something greasy. The Summer Cafe is definitely the best cafe in Malmesbury. They do incredible cakes. Malmesbury Tandoori is the best place to get a curry. It's super cheap and incredibly tasty. Spice Merchant is a good place to go for a curry if you want to sit in the restaurant. The food is good but can be a bit hit and miss when you get it as a takeaway. The Raja is another option for curry, but for some reason I've never been there. And finally, you have the Birdcage, which is definitely one of the best pizza places I've ever been. All of their pizzas are named after local landmarks and it's got a really cosy atmosphere inside. The Birdcage Restaurant is actually named after the Market Cross, which stands in the centre of the town. It was built in 1490 and was built to shelter the poor market folks during heavy rain. It has an elaborately carved octagonal structure and is one of the best preserved of its kind in England. It was named the Birdcage due to its appearance. Next to the Birdcage is the St Paul's Bell Tower, which once formed part of the parish church, which stood next to Malmesbury Abbey until its collapse in the 16th century. Malmesbury Abbey was founded as a Benedictine monastery around the year 676 by a scholar called Aldham. The town of Malmesbury grew around the abbey and was made a borough by Alfred the Great. In 941, King Athelstan, the first king of England, was buried in the abbey. The abbey developed a reputation for academic learning. By the 11th century, it contained the second largest library in Europe. In the 10th century, the abbey was the site of an early attempt at human flight, when a monk called Elmer jumped off one of the abbey towers with a primitive hang glider and flew nearly 200 metres before breaking both of his legs. The current abbey was completed by around 1180. The 430-foot spire collapsed in a storm in 1500, destroying much of the church. In 2009, historian Michael Wood speculated that Malmesbury was the site of the transcription of the Anglo-Saxon poem Beowulf. The Abbey House Gardens are the gardens of a privately owned house dating from the 16th century. The gardens were opened to the public in 1996. In 1998, a large skeleton was unearthed in the gardens, and experts speculate that it belongs to a 13th century monk who walked with a limp and had bad teeth. The owners of the gardens became known as the Naked Gardeners. In 2005, the garden hosted the first clothes optional day. Naturists from all over the country came to visit, and around 2/3 of visitors walked around the gardens in the nude. My granny told me she once visited the gardens and was a bit surprised to see people walking around naked. Next, I went for a walk down to the fields at the bottom of Malmesbury, where you can get a really good view up towards the hillside town. Malmesbury was once the site of an Iron Age fort. It's a hilltop town that contains several freshwater springs. Its Iron Age defences helped provide protection against the Vikings. The community was the ancient frontier of two kingdoms, with Tetbury 5 miles to the north in Mercia, while Malmesbury was in the West Saxon kingdom, resulting in centuries of animosity between the two towns. During the Civil War, the town changed hands 7 times. In 1646, Parliament ordered that the town walls be destroyed. Over time, Malmesbury lost its importance as peace came to England, and it became more important to defend coastal port towns. As developing transport and trade routes passed it by, it regressed to a regional market town. At the Battle of Brunanburh in 937, King Athelstan of Wessex defeated an army of Northern English and Scots and made a claim to become the first king of all England. Helped by many men from Malmesbury, in gratitude he gave the townsfolk their freedom, along with 600 hides of land to the south of the town. The status of free men of Malmesbury was passed down through the generations and remains to this day. It is likely, however, that the title of free man or commoner was given to tradesmen and craftsmen coming into the town during the early Middle Ages, so the claim of direct lineage from the men who fought with King Athelstan to the present-day commoners is unlikely, though possible. Since at least the 17th century, however, the right has been only handed down from father to son or son-in-law. There is a maximum of 280 commoners. The organisation is said to be the most exclusive club in the world, as to enter it one has to be born to a free man or marry the daughter of one. Since 2000, and with the possibility of falling numbers, women were admitted for the first time, the daughters of free men. The organisation, the Warden and Free Men of Malmesbury, still owns the land to the south of the town, along with dozens of properties, pubs and shops within the town itself, providing affordable housing to townsfolk. Malmesbury sits on a flat Cotswold hilltop at the convergence of two rivers. From the west, the Bristol Avon flows from Shurston, and from the northwest, a tributary, either known as the Tetbury Avon or River Avon. They flow within 200 metres of each other, but are separated by a narrow and high strip of land which forces the Bristol Avon south and the Tetbury Avon east. This creates a rocky outcrop as a south-facing, gently sloping hilltop, until the two rivers meet on the southern edge of the town, with steep sides, in places cliff-like. The town was described by Sir William Waller as the best naturally defended inland location he'd ever seen. On the north side of the town, alongside the river, is a nature reserve. It's a really lovely place to come and sit by the river, and it's also the site of the old Malmesbury train station. Malmesbury railway station opened in December of 1877. The branch split from the main London to Bristol line at Dauncey. The station closed to passengers in 1951 and freight in 1962. The old railway engine shed is now a quick fit. I've lived in Malmesbury for nearly 3 years, and I'm going to be moving away very soon. I've really enjoyed my time living here, but it's funny how you often realise how interesting a place is only once you're about to leave. I've actually learned a lot of local history whilst making this video. I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and perhaps you should give Malmesbury a visit if you're ever in the local area. Thanks for watching, I'll see you all next time.